know y'all see me. I'm gonna actually go and use my cell phone to talk back to the people. Listen, y'all already know who this lady is. Y'all been asking me about her. Y'all been saying, who is she? She's all over my Facebook page. You'll see me at her events. I have Apostle Adelia Seymour with me. Wow. Welcome to the convo with Dr.Nikki Zeigler.
Thank you. Dr.
Listen, we're about to get into some stuff. We're going to get into some stuff. Can y'all hear me? Let me know. Hey, Dr. Nikki, I hear you. If not, then we'll get the microphones so y'all can hear, because I need y'all to get what she's about to give y'all today. So let me know if you hear me, in case you want to check it and see do they hear her and me. If not, we're going to turn these microphones on because I don't want to waste her time. She came all the way down, all the way from Atlanta to Montgomery to just be on my show. She actually my first live guest.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just thought about that because normally I'm, on, virtual.
Oh, got you.
So you're the first one I've had that I can actually physically see. Can you hear us? Oh, we good? Oh, praise God. Look at that. Yes. We don't even need no microphone. Okay, good. So I just want to honor you, woman of God, for being here with me. Just so, I know that, let me be clear, that was passing through. She need a microphone. Oh, you got to talk a little louder.
I'm good. Now, do I need to talk loud?
Oh.
Am I good?
Hers is low.
I'm low.
And General Elvis, you need to turn an arrow on you can. If you need to turn an arrow, you can. That's good. Let me try to see if I can go and hear it for myself. And then we'll get right into it because I want to be able to tell her story because I know I have a lot of people have been wanting to hear you. Hold on 1 second.
I can hear you. Say something.
Well.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
You can hear. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. All right, so tell the people who you are.
Well, I am Dr. Adelia Seymour.
Dr. Adelia Seymour.
Dr. Adelia Seymour.
So how did you get to this point? Like, when I say her story is phenomenal, how did you get to where we at today? Like, can you take us back and bring us forth a little bit?
Back to, and now if we want to deal with the apostle, we could go back that where I didn't believe in women preachers, women evangelists, women, sure enough, women apostles and women bishops. So I had an issue. First of all, let's go back.
Okay.
I didn't want to be saved.
That part.
That part.
My God.
I didn't want to be saved. During my day, they had the Days and Dukes out.
Right.
And so I had more interest in being the girl, with the spunk and the parties. So I really, really didn't want to be saved. So those sanctified folk came to me talking about, you got to be baptized in Jesus' name, get the Holy Ghost. That was the furthest thing from me. Now, let me tell you what I did. Then we're going to go a little further. And so they did a revival at my sister's house in Meridian. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I had a lot of influence on the young boys in my day. And so I put on me some Days and Dukes, went to the street corner, and paid one of those young men to go back and beat the bishop up. That's how much I didn't want to be saved. Oh, I was gangster. I was gangster for real. I was gangster.
You paid them to?
Yeah.
Oh, let me shut it.
The bishop know this. He'll tell the story now.
So did they do it?
They tried to get to him. They just couldn't get to him. I didn't like sanctified folk. I didn't want nobody talking about Jesus. So what you see now, Dr. Zeigler, what you see now is what folk didn't know then about, they wouldn't have had no clue that I was like this for what I'm sharing now. No, I didn't like church folk too. I didn't like the bishop.
But why?
I didn't want that stuff. I was enjoying what I was doing.
Okay.
And so they coming up preaching, you can't wear this, you can't do that, you can't be this, you can't be that. So of course, I didn't want them. Mm-hmm. That was the beginning of my journey.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So as when did it hit you to say, I want to be saved. Because saved is a choice. We all agree to that.
Yeah, saved was a choice. But it seemed like to me it wasn't a choice in my life. You know, it's like it was a demand.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a choice because some people have a choice to go to church. But God didn't give me a choice. He gave me a demand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why my salvation now is different than what people really know about me. My salvation is different because I didn't have a choice. I had a demand. I had a call. So with me having a call and a demand from God, it was I want to say the calling was different. So with there being a demand, I just couldn't do things the way everybody else could do it. You know, so let me tell you what I did. After I finally got saved, you all, I did not want to be saved. I still didn't want to be saved. So I backslid. I backslid for the word, hell of it. Right. You know, I just backslid. I did not want to be saved. So that's when I moved to Oakland, California. That's when I was a prostitute. That's when I was on crack real, real bad. I didn't want to do nothing that was pertaining to being saved. So I became the prostitute. Then I lived in the madam's house. Then I became the madam. Then I was on crack. I walked the streets with fur coats on and the makeup. All of this was because I did not want to go to church. I did not want to be saved. I wanted the Holy Ghost, but I didn't want to be saved.
My God.
This is the truth. This is the truth. And I sure enough did not believe in women preachers.
Wow.
I didn't believe in women preachers.
Wow.
I know we didn't know we was going back that far. Maybe God knew what he was doing. Not maybe. But sometime when God he said to reach the heart, you have to reach the heart, you have to know how to reach the soul. And to reach the soul, you have to know how to reach the heart. So probably that is why God allowed me to go back, because I forgot about how horrible I really, really was. So that's why, Dr. Zeigler, I could write a book, Think Like a Criminal and Act Like a Saint, because I was a criminal during the time before God developed me into being a saint. So I know the criminal side of being in a church, working in administration, working with the pastor, working around the choir, working with I was that. So I took all of the things that I learned in experience, especially not wanting to be saved. I took all of that and learned how to put it now and apply it into the kingdom.
Wow. So going back to the madam.
Well, what drove me to the madam, I met this certain guy. And I met this guy, his name was Bill. And he was a part of the mafia. And he was dating my sister, though, and he had a guy friend that started dating me. Well, I would come up with so many creative ideas. This was during my backsliding days now. I would come up with so many creative ideas of how to make money, and then me being the prostitute and just doing things I know I can't air now. But, and doing things that I was doing, he decided to introduce me to the mob.
In New York?
No, I was in California. And from California to Detroit. This is the truth. And when I became a part of it after prostitution for 5 years, I had outworked the streets. So they took the knowledge that I had from where I had outworked the streets. Then we took it, and that's when I became the madam, and I taught women how to become the one to know how to steal the watches, the one that knew how to cook the food. I had to train one how to clean the house. I had to train each woman that was a part of the house. So I was the house lady.
And you would send them out?
There were some that never went out. Those that had to cook never went out. Those that were still in the man, they would know what kind of man to steal his wallet. Then I had certain ladies that knew only to steal the watches, especially if he wore Rolex watches. I would have to train them how to steal. There were some that I would teach only how to use the credit cards. It was only for the credit cards. And some of them never ever slept with the men. Once they got them upstairs in the room, they never slept with them. They would put them to sleep, get what they wanted, and leave. I was the madam.
Wow. And you hear people talk about that, but I don't know what a madam really, really was, because I wasn't raised around it. but for you to be so open to talk about it, because some people don't like talking about their past.
Well, then how do we get delivered?
Mm.
You know, how do I help others? God saved me to be a mouthpiece and a deliverer to others. Because there are women out there in bondage. There are really madams and prostitutes in the church and don't know it. When you get a bunch of single women that goes to, and I want y'all to hear this, you know. When you get women, most women go to the churches and they will find a nice looking handsome pastor or man of God that doesn't have a wife. And most single women go and join a church because the man doesn't have a wife. That's really a prostitute. Because what is she after? She's after winning him. And what does she do? Before she sleep with him, she rape him while he's preaching in the pulpit. Same way. She raped him while he's preaching.
How?
She molests him through her eyes and watching his body. She strips him while he's at the pulpit. She make love to him through her eyes. This is what happens. Then when the man of God finishes ministry, he's going to find out that he's drained and exhausted. And they feel like they have to go to bed. They don't know why they're drained and exhausted. Because a real ex-madam have not explained this to churches. So women, this is the truth. This is what really happens. And so you say, well, how do you know, Dr. Seymour? I've been out here. I've been pastoring now 27 years, you know. So all of my experience now, God has taught me how to bring it back to the kingdom, to set the people free. That's what deliverance comes in at in the church. No, I'm not ashamed. I did it.
Wow. Wow. So once you became the madam, what made you stop doing
Here
that?
we go again. It was a demand. It was not a choice. And I know it seems strange, but my life, everything about my the last latter part of my life was the man of God. Because I didn't believe in women preachers. I didn't believe in women apostles. I didn't believe in women bishops. So everything about my life was a demand and a call from God. So I got so involved in some things that only God himself could bring me out of. That's part two. So I had to get a flight out. I had to leave on a flight with 5 children because we were sleeping. It got so bad that once I tried to walk away, I had to hide. And that's what some of the reason I slept under the bridge with my kids. Yeah, because we had to hide, and I had 75 cents in my pocket and didn't want anyone. We couldn't be found. So it took me to a place of, first we went to a shelter. The shelter was so bad with them things that been in them blankets, lice, bed bugs and all of that. And then you had to get up at 4 and 5 in the morning and eat oatmeal with nothing in it. So after I got tired of that, then we went to the bridge, my children and I think I had 75 cents in my pocket. So but that's a whole nother story. So from that, after I got to my lowest, and I figured out how to fly. That's without buying a ticket. I was just that. What? Yeah. I flew with 5 of my children.
And didn't pay nothing?
Didn't pay for it. The helicopter took us from Oakland Airport to the airport in San Francisco. My older children remember this. Everything that I'm saying here, they can tell you the same story.
Wow.
This is true. Then when I made it back, I ran to my bishop at that time, and I couldn't do it no longer. And I just gave myself back to God. I tell you, it was a demand. This is a true story. It was a demand.
Wow. So what happens once you got back?
When I finally started getting myself together, my life started straightening. And so years and years, I stayed with the bishop. I started getting more dedicated to, it wasn't king. We didn't know anything about kingdom then, but more to ministry. And getting more and more involved in ministry. I was apostolic by denomination and apostolic by nature. And it made me then have to study the revelation of God, the calling of God, the responsibilities that God was giving me, understanding now who I am, whose I am, and that I no longer had to be that. So now my integrity level is building. You know, now I'm getting more and more into what I'm doing. Then I finally committed myself to the kingdom. It was on a Friday night at the Spirit of Pentecost. I will never forget it. at the Spirit of Pentecost. That was the last night of that holy convocation. And the man of God said, there are 3 things you can ask God for. What would you ask God for? And out of ignorance, I said, God, I don't want to ask you for money. I want to ask you for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And if you give me the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding, I'll do the rest. And that was the beginning of my exposure to kingdom knowledge, kingdom revelation, kingdom understanding, shifting into a whole nother realm. Understanding now and bringing my street experience and developing the kingdom, especially for the mindset of women.
Right.
You know, and I was just sharing this earlier. Now I understand the demand, and I understand the calling. So when there's a demand on who you are, it doesn't matter about the challenges.
Right.
It doesn't matter because now you know. See, now, Doc, I know who I am.
Right.
Remember, I can't be moved because I know who I am. I know my purpose and I know my destiny. So I have that surety. And from that, Dr. Zeigler, I moved back to Meridian. Now I'm ready now. You know, I moved back to Meridian. I took my street experiences, girl, and the first thing that I did was, and I pray that someone is listening and really can get healed from this. The first thing that I did was I went back to the ghetto, back to the hood, back to the project that God delivered me from. I went back to the lowest of my life, and I went back and I was set up under the sheds, and I was singing the hymns. You know, God specializes, and I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. I was saying all of the old hymns. Didn't have a mic or anything, but I used the strength of my loins. I used the strength of my vocals, and I would go under those sheds, and I would get some people to put some hot dogs on the grill, and we would give away free hot dogs and water. And as I was saying, people come out of their apartments and out of their houses to hear me sing. And it grew from that. And then I would teach the women that was living in the project. Now God had given me a mission because I didn't believe still in women preachers at that time. But I didn't mind being a missionary.
Right.
And through the mission, I took those women and taught them how to make handkerchiefs, to move out of the project and found a place to stay. Through that, I try to have a long story. I took them out of the project. I would take one at a time out of the project. We were selling the handkerchiefs. Then I started buying property, moving them out of the project, taking that mentality from them. Then after I took them from that, after God had given me about this time 20 or 30 women that was prostituting, living in the project, I taught them how to make homemade peanut butter. Homemade peanut butter, I would take them out, different places, they would sell the peanut butter. Now we're able to buy homes, we bought trailers. Now the women are able to move with their children. Then I started from that. That's when I tell you about, I started my own Christian Academy school. So now we took their children out of the public setting and we started our own Christian Academy school. Now I've had my academy school 20-some years.
Wow. So what brings you to Florida?
Well, I moved from Meridian to Florida. I think I was moving to Florida for purpose. When you have purpose, you don't know all the time what your purpose is, but you're searching for purpose.
Right.
And so I needed to know what my purpose was. And what God did with me when I moved to Florida, there was a group of women that were prostitutes there that was working at KOD. I think it was KOD, King of Diamond. They were prostitutes. There were women that was my purpose and I was their assignment. Not knowing this though. So what happened, purpose and assignment had to come together. So those women I had to move that those women would have someone that they could relate to, that could change some of the things that they were involved in. And then they didn't have to feel bad. Then they could find out that they could be prayer warriors. They found out that they could be prayer angels, that their body was not, and then I took them from woman to lady. See, nobody has never taught the 3 phases of who we really are. We're born females to become a young woman. We start birthing and all that. That's the woman part of us. But nobody never groomed us into the lady side of us. And that was my purpose in West Palm Beach, was to take those women and take them to a whole nother level in God. And most of them now moved here with me.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have moved here with me. But West Palm Beach was an experience, and I had to go through the purpose zone to get to where I am now.
Wow. And you met your husband.
Oh, I met him in Palm Beach, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I met my lover.
Okay.
A husband can be just a man, go 9 to 5.
Yes,
But
you
my flame, my twin flame, is my husband, which is Elvis. Yeah, but anybody can be married to a husband. But everybody can't meet their twin flame. And that's what Elvis met me at the red light.
There you go. Elvis is in the room. He looking at it like, okay, here we go.
This has been 9 years, though. We're like this, really 24 hours a day. We're like this. And people ask us, how do we do it? When God finally connects you to your twin flame, it's inseparable. We've been separated one time in 9 years. One time. And that was when my apostle had to go to the Word Network for a Friday night interview. And that was the only time Elvis left me in our 9 years. It was for one night.
So you want to come to the retreat? No way then.
We probably had a hotel down the street.
What kind of shenanigans?
Dude, girl. I ain't gonna do that. Cause if
He ain't tell me that now. I said, you gonna let her? Yes, she can go. He ain't tell me that.
He always tell people that.
So I shouldn't even ask.
He always tell, yeah, he want me to go, but he probably be at the hotel down the street. Yeah, because we are really friends.
Right.
The 5 things that I really believe, men love sex first. But the second thing is their ego. And I am Elvis' strengthener to his ego. I strengthen his ego all the time. Women like affections and emotion. Elvis does that to me every day. He's affectionate and he works with my emotions.
Right.
So he understands me.
Wow, that's good. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the book. Of course, I'm gonna bring her back. She didn't bring the physical book. It doesn't matter. We're gonna talk about this book. Let's talk about the book. What made you decide to write the book?
My son, and before he died, we would talk about experiences. How people would come into church and they act like they really love your ministry and they really love the pastors and the pastor wife, of course. And they'll learn your insides out, your secrets.
Mm-hmm.
They learn things about what's happening in your ministry. And once they learn things that's happening in your ministry, they go back. They talk about you. They really talk about the pastor's wife.
Right.
Then they have issues with the pastor, how we spent our money, what we did with the money. I don't think they should have done that. So all of this started something. Mm-hmm. So my son and I, and so we decided to write the book, Think Like a Criminal, but Act Like a Saint. Mm-hmm. So, but now you could take that more than just about money, because think about, that's how I know how to groom my church, because I know what to see. I know how to spot them when they come in, whether it's about money, whether it's a female about a man, or whether it's a man about a female, because I know how they think. So I know how to think like a criminal, but I'm going to remain the lady that God has called me to. Mm-hmm. So that's the gesture of it. A lot of people don't know, because you can be, now I want to say this, you can be so caught up in your heavenly mind that you don't have the earthly vision of what's really happening. Because we're dealing with real criminals now. We're dealing with real rapists now. We're dealing with real liars now. I've had people to come, but because my husband, if he was here, he would tell you, he can attest to this. I know them when they come in the door. I know them. I tell one young lady, I said, she brought this guy, introduced him to me. I said, girl, you better run. You better run. No, don't put him in the office. Don't. I've had people that tried hard to work in my office. They have good creativity, but I know them. I know them. No, I'd rather for us to stay dumb and ignorant in certain things until God give me the right people that have to have. Every person that works on my staff have to have my heart. They might make a lot of mistakes, but they have to still know my heart. How would they ever know the leader's heart? Dr. Seymour's teaching is 1 hour of prayer every Sunday morning. You can't be an armor bearer, you can't be an usher, You don't sing on my praise team. You don't be a dancer. If you have to be in my church at 9 on Sunday morning, from 9 to 9:30 in prayer. You don't sing on the praise team without the prayer. You don't usher. Those that you see work in my parking lot, the reason they know how to greet people, they have been in prayer first. So you have to have that 30 minutes, and then after they do 30 minutes on the altar, I have to hear and see you. And after that 30 minutes, this is true.
Oh, I know it is, but for the say so, I went to a church, to the women's conference. When we pull in, I was afraid, because it was coming.
To open
And
your
I'm looking
door.
like, no, like, who are these people? It's about 4 of them.
It's church etiquette.
And I'm talking about, we couldn't even touch our door. And they grabbed your purses. I ain't never seen that before. When it was raining, they had the umbrellas, several umbrellas. I mean, I've never seen nothing. I'm not, and I don't work for some pastors in my life, but I've never seen nothing like that ever in life.
Well, and see what was busy, Dr. Zeigler, you will see that with the pastor, but you don't see that with the others.
You don't see that with the others.
I don't allow that at my church. I don't allow, you don't just serve me. We are there for the people of God.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not about me. But you're going to know me from my laborers and server people that's serving me.
Oh, yeah.
So you know my heart from that. But it's the truth.
And even when you go to the bathroom, they're going to escort you to the bathroom. They're going to wait for you to come out the bathroom. They're going to make sure you sanitize, because they're going to have the stuff waiting on you. And then they're going to walk you back to your seat. If you stand up, they're watching. Like, you need what you need. I was just like, oh, my God. You know, that's hard to find, though. I mean, I think it's very rare because, I've been to pretty much every mega church, and no one. I've never seen that before.
But you know, Dr. Zeigler, now we're in kingdom time.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the 4th hour.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last era. Remember, there won't be another era.
Right.
So what God has done through the pandemic is bringing exposure to the kingdom, and how the kingdom is really supposed to be structured. Apostles are to bring governmental order and governmental structure. Well, a lot of what had happened, and I know we're about time, our time is about up, but what happened was it was all about the pastors and the apostles and the bishops, and it was never about the people. So now God said, I'm going to bring exposure. Yes, because if there's no people, there's no apostle. If there's no people, there's no pastor. He gives you everything that you need for the kingdom. So what it is in this 4th hour, in this 4th watch, God is bringing exposure now to what needs to be brought. Remember, the only reason that he had to bring out the deacons was because he said the apostles need to be busy doing this, but I need the deacons serving the tables. Now nobody's waiting on nobody. There's no servitude and there's no humility. What took away the humility is the altar. People don't want to lay on the altar anymore. That's why I'm here to put Louisiana now to be on the altar at 4:00 a.m. with my apostle. We're going to pray. We're going to spend the night there and wake up at 4 and go in prayer at 4:00 in the morning. Everybody has taken that away. So now to bring the governmental order and the governmental structure, those are the things that have to be. And I'm not the most important person. I am just a mouthpiece of the Wisdom Center. The most important people are those that's coming to hear what thus said the Lord.
My God.
That's why I tell people there's more to this. That's why God got me with this relationship, Dr. Zeigler, because churches, we've lost all of the men just about. Nobody has taught these women how to save our churches. Nobody has gone out there and taught these women how to go out there and compare these men. So most women are single that comes to our churches. Most women are single. Those men are in prison, in jail, locked up on the streets. So now we've got to teach the women the etiquette side of God. The etiquette side. That was what Ruth did.
So that's why
Naomi did.
you're writing a book.
That's exactly. That's exactly. You're so smart, lady.
Yeah.
And that's what Mordecai did. Mordecai said, we've got to win our nation. So he said, come here. He went to the orphanage and got Odessa. Her name was Odessa in the orphanage. But when he came out, he renamed her and gave her the name Esther. He said, now Esther, Now is the appointed time. We're going to save our kingdom. We're going to save our people. What are you saying, Dr. Seymour? So a lot of people get me mixed up with about talking about sex. I talk about relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense. But at the same time, my primary focus is God delivered me from crack cocaine and streets of prostitution. So what I'm about is the kingdom of God. So I take my street sense and bring it back to the kingdom and reverse it now for the advantage of building the kingdom of God. And that's what we do.
Wow. Well, we would like to thank you for coming on to my first show in person. I'm always doing shows with, several people, and I'm on tour. I'm going to bring her back so she could talk about her book and talk about, what she has next, what's next for Dr. Adelia Seymour. Amazing woman of God. God has really given me such a love for you.
I love you too.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. We have to learn how to fix crowns and really honor people where honors due. You paid the way for so many of us women, and so I'm excited to have you here
I'm excited.
in my city. And we're done speaking. I'm gonna let Keisha shut it down. If y'all got